Some days, no matter how many times you shuffle or mix the deck, the same card just pops up over and over, and you realize there's a message coming out. And today it's about the Nine of Wands. And I'm not going to talk about boundaries in the obvious sense. If you're here, you already understand boundaries. I'm going to talk about boundaries from a sense of magic. And I think that the key to boundaries in a lot of ways and how they work with magic is that when you're whole, right, when you have defined yourself completely, you understand that influencing outcomes has to do with putting tiny little holes into yourself, right? You make these holes and it lets things in, but that is how we influence outcomes. I think we all instinctively understand this is what magic is about, what you're willing to pay for the growth that you have. And it's not always a guarantee, it's a risk. It's being aware of the risk. So let's draw your pattern, your power, and your play. We have the Nine of Pentacles, the Five of Wands, and the Six of Wands. So first of all, you are cared for. The Nine of Pentacles here is really drawing me to this understanding, the life that you live, the inner experience that you have, the relationships, the way that you inhabit this whole thing. It's one whole beautiful essence, and that's loved and cared for among others, right? It's this concept that we are all loved and cared for and cherished as a divine caretaker, right? Is guarding our essences. And eventually there's something like a maturation period taking place, a hatching that occurs from our essence. This whole being, your whole life, what do you hatch into? I don't know, but rest assured that essence itself is being cared for. So you just have to work on what you're making. The Five of Wands here really represents where we come into conflict with ourselves. Where are we aware of the various motivations and internal conflicts? Being aware of where you're personally divided on different topics. Examine where you feel strongly about anything. If there are parts of you that disagree on boundaries, then you don't know which side you'll stand on. In real time, you don't know which motivation will be driving when it's time to decide that boundary. Understanding and being aware of where you have your own internal conflicts and trying to at least resolve them to a point where you can trust yourself to make the boundary decisions that you want to be making. That's incredibly important to effective magic and manifestation. Guess what happens? And then we have the Six of Wands, and he's really driving me to the facade of achievement. Everything is somewhat about luck, attitude, belief systems, all those things. Luck. Let's say that again and again. Even if you're better than other people at pretty much everything, even if you worked hard for it, you had the disposition to work hard for it. Like, all of that is luck. Every last thing about yourself came down to cosmological odds. And we live in a universe that has a whimsical sense of humor. If you believe too much in yourself, that also is a little bit dangerous. All right, so let's go into our power. Wow, that just dropped out. It's just one. And we have the Three of Wands, Seven of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles. All right, witches, these are great powers. The Three of Wands is calling our attention to the fact that you are not a fool anymore. I know it seems exciting sometimes to say, oh, it's a whole new life coming before you. But actually, you're someone who looks before you walk off a cliff. There's no way anybody is tricking you into walking off a cliff. If you're walking off a cliff, it's because you have to. You now look. You look around and you decide which step you're going to take forward, and if there's other paths to get to where you want to go. And you make sure that you have what you need before you go. All your supplies, everything. Good shoes, you're good. You make good decisions. You're different than a fool. Even understanding how it's better to not be a fool, that already makes you more responsible with the magic that you naturally have, which is what the Seven of Wands is telling me about here. You have been really effective at using your innate magic to fend off the innate magic of others. People use magic without even understanding that it's magic. Magic is simply the understanding that our inner experience manifests into our outer reality, and we and everyone around us gets to experience our inner life. So we have learned something about that and have learned how to use it with brute force. Almost everybody does this at a low level. You're particularly strong, and so you've arrived at the understanding that you're manifesting a lot of what's happening. You've innately got there. Maybe you even practice it a little bit. The tarot cards are really suggesting that you don't need to hammer those. You can see them now. Once you understand that most empaths and anybody who understands their magic, once they become truly aware of it, they see it all around. Like, it's invisible to other people, now it becomes visible to you. It is literally what all that means is you're recognizing everybody's motivations and how it's manifesting their entire reality. And you have been guarding your reality. Now that you know yourself, now that you can trust yourself, you can see the magic around you. And when we can see other people's, what's creating their reality, we don't need to go to a ton of work to preserve ours, because we understand very well what's creating that and how they're mirroring us. We understand those intersections. You don't need to combat them anymore. You just sew them up. Doot. A wand. All right, and then your Three of Pentacles. We're really on wands today, so it is an interesting layout. I shuffled. Anyway, the Three of Pentacles is pretty simple. You have potential. It is your choice, of course, but you have the total power and ability to bring people together under a shared purpose, to create something great, to create something big, to create something unique and special. Your choice. But you have that gift and that power. All right, what is your play? Six of Cups, Ace of Wands, and the Eight of Swords. It's an interesting spread. I mean, there's no doubt it's about magic. So the Ace of Wands is precisely as we discussed. It's about going from using your wand with brute force to using it more delicately, and understanding who you are and understanding how that creates the reality around you and how other people are creating their reality. You can dodge and weave a lot more. You can be a lot more delicate with your magic to make things happen. The Six of Cups is helping you determine the ways that you can make the decisions about where it's worth making some holes in your boundaries. And the Six of Cups gives you a pathway to doing that. That says, ask yourself who you were before anybody told you what your opinion would be, right? I like grapefruit, I don't like pears. I like ants, I don't like wasps. I like the idea of being a teacher, I don't like the idea of being a miner. So, like, there are real ideas and opinions that you had. Continue to tap into those. They're helpful, especially in real moments when things happen very quickly. The Eight of Swords is to help you when the decision time has passed and you've decided you do want something, and it seems like even the more outrageous it is, the more you need to examine your own internal boundaries that you've set, because there are also limitations, right? Every boundary that you've created to define your whole self is also a limitation that you've placed on what you can become. So this is really key to understanding how to use that one. She asked me to tell you that when you do magic, the point isn't to make something happen. You only ever have the ability to make something possible. You have to allow the rest. Make a habit out of doing things because you like them and you don't really have too many other motivations. Where your motivation, where you need an outcome, you probably can't use magic too effectively. When you're really invested in how something turns out, that almost guarantees an inability to let down the actual internal limitations to allowing it to happen. So that's the reminder that was sent to me as I close. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please do all those YouTube things. Peace out.